What part of you did you leave out of Love and Basketball?
Oh, damn. Never been asked that in my entire life.
Legacy, oh, legacy, oh.
First time that you showed me your script, super scary for me because like, is this gonna end our friendship?
Super scary for you?
If it sucks.
How you think I feel? Giving a woman that really Love and Basketball on her first go, a script.
This industry is exponentially harder for us. There is no denying that. You have to outwork everybody, and not everybody is built for that.
Legacy, oh, legacy. One, thank you so much for sitting down talking to me.
Always.
When I was your assistant many moons ago, I don't know how long ago, we got the bee, Secret Life of Bees. Got it tatted, okay? When I would talk to people about you, I would say, Gina Prince-Bythewood. And they would kind of go, Love and Basketball. Oh, yeah. I ended up saying Love and Basketball as many times as I would say your name. Mm-hmm. Of course, I watched Love and Basketball again this weekend as I in prep for this. And it's also really interesting to watch it again as a 40-year-old. I know.
You're 40?
I'm 40 now.
Shit.
First time I saw it, I was a teenager. Damn. You got to do it, Kevin Hart, Don Cheadle. And obviously I see so many more things and just understand just how significant the movie is. And as a person who is telling stories and making media myself, I'm like bowled over by it. My first question for you is, do you ever get sick of talking about Love and Basketball?
Hell no. Nah, it's an amazing thing. People still want to watch it. The people want to talk about it. The people are discovering it. It's surreal. And it's funny because people they come up, I'm sorry, I know you're probably sick of this. And I tell them I will never be tired or sick of somebody telling me that the work moves them. I'm able to walk in a room having that with me, and it allows me to, be bolder, be more courageous because people associate that with me.
I think watching it now, knowing you, it's such a different experience for me. There's so much of you in the movie. There's so much of your DNA in it. And it made me wonder, what part of you did you leave out of Love and Basketball?
Oh, damn. What did I leave out? I've never been asked that in my entire life. I don't think I did. I think, I often say that your first film should tell the world who you are.
Yeah.
And it should be a film only you can tell. Mm-hmm. Honestly, when I was writing it, because it's such a personal story, that was my fear. Like, who's going to give a shit about a little black girl who wants to be in the NBA? Like, who's going to watch that? And who am I to believe that my story deserves a platform like a movie? Like, that's that constant self-talk that you have to do. It's an amazing thing to be able to do that, to use it as therapy, but also to put so much personal things in there when you've spent so much of your life feeling like you were wrong, something was wrong with you, to then people embrace. That's, I think, the most amazing thing, and why that people's embrace of the film is so special, because I didn't feel like that growing up.
I was thinking about that. I said, I wonder, because the movie is now in the Library of Congress, which means it'll be preserved forever.
Forever, man.
Forever. And it's worthy of that. And I think you are a big part of that. Mm-hmm. The movie is such a reflection of who you are. I think you answered it beautifully. It's like you didn't leave anything out. The work is going to continue to meet new generations. Mm-hmm. They will continue to be in conversation with the work. When it came out, it was like this breath of fresh air of like, we haven't seen Love and Basketball before. Mm-hmm. And we needed it. And now it feels almost like, that's what you needed then, and now I'm still in conversation with it now. Mm-hmm. It's a tribute to you that people kind of were like, what is this? And we want to keep watching it.
Two people I do want to also add into the conversation. Well, certainly Reggie Rock.
Yes, Reggie Rock Bythewood.
Yeah, who, we were dating at the time that was writing that. To have somebody believe in it as much as I did, and that person to, when you're on the floor curled up because nobody wants to tell the story.
Right.
To have that person that still believes, that was an amazing thing.
Yes.
And then my cast, I feel like lightning in a bottle. Omar and Sanaa, there was something about their chemistry that just ignited in that film and has endured.
There's 3 women, actually, I want to talk about because they're sort of a really beautiful trifecta in love and basketball, and they continue to show up throughout the rest of your career, truly. And one of those women is Sanaa Lathan.
Yeah, Sanaa.
Other person is Aisha Coley.
Yeah.
And last but not least, Tara Lynn Shropshire,
Yes,
who I know best of those 3. Spent a lot of time with her. So I want to start with Aisha, if that's okay, because we're super excited that the Academy is finally going to start recognizing casting directors. That was your first time working with Aisha Coley, is that right?
Yep.
And it is I think, a partnership in our industry that isn't highlighted enough.
It is not.
And I think a big part of that is because as I was watching your films and all that kind of stuff, was starting with the first one, the flagship movie. What you 2 did with that cast is something that I think should be studied and spoken about. And that's a big reason why we wanted to have these conversations, because we want this conversation to be something that people can look back at and know what you and Aisha did. You sort of launched not just careers, but really a community of Black actors that would set the tone for other filmmakers to cast them and to give them permission to put them on screen again and again and again and again. So just wanted to give you 2 your flowers for getting in there, finding these stars, and giving us all a beautiful palette of actors to watch and grow over time. That being said, what should a relationship between director and casting director look like?
Well, foremost, I love that you're highlighting her because she's done every single one of my films, every single one of my TV shows.
Yes.
It's been a 30-year relationship, and honestly, I feel like you're the first person that's ever asked me about our collaboration. You know, there's those first calls that you go, and it's kind of simultaneous. I call Terry and I call Aisha.
Right.
It's just a given. I was aware of Aisha because she had been working on Spike's film and all the people that he has discovered and launched. Well, where does that come from? Came from Aisha. So I think she was coming off of Clockers, which I had been fascinated about the casting of Mackay Phifer.
Yes.
And so she came aboard, and as your first film, everything is so new. And I knew I wanted Alfred, and I knew I wanted Omar.
Wow.
And then I knew I wanted a discovery for Monica. Aisha, like, we did such a, like, I'm saying worldwide, but, you know, American search for Monica to try and find her. And she was so creative. What about Serena Williams? What about Marion Jones?
Wow.
Like, let's think outside the box.
Yeah.
I'm smiling because I'm working with her now. And
Big one.
a big one. But as you know, being late is a big
Oh my God.
deal.
I'm mad I didn't beat you here today.
She learned on that one. Like, if an actor was 2-3 minutes late,
You're done.
I'm done.
Bye. It's done.
But she has helped me grow. Like, it's okay. Like, it's not a reflection of them or their work ethic or their respect for me.
I love Aisha telling you, okay, look, Angela Bassett was running, look, there was traffic.
Literally.
Okay.
I'm telling you, there were a couple of very big actors. I was like, so she has been very helpful
Nice.
in that, but she's brilliant at what she does.
Okay, let's talk a little bit about Sanaa. I know it was very difficult to land on your Monica, as it should be. And I get that because I've had to cast somebody, you know, that's a bit of a reflection of myself as well. And we're hard on ourselves. So we're really going to be hard on the person who has to play a version of us.
Yes.
Not easy. How did you guys go about finding the Sanaa Lathan?
Well, it started at the very beginning. I told myself and then told Aisha I would never cast a non-athlete in this role. If the basketball's whack, it's going to set female athletes back in years. That was the pressure I had
I've been
on me.
hearing this forever, but yes, it's like I've heard it for the first time. Set us back.
It set us way back. But one of my producers, Spike, was like, yeah, you got to cast an athlete. So going through the process, though, I did say, let me just open it up. But part of the audition, you're going to read the lines. And then if you get past that point, then you're going to get on the court. It's funny how many women lied.
I can play.
And then I'd get them on the court. You're not going to fake. So
Can't fool you.
Can't fool me. And so that was also disheartening. I did open it up. That's when Sanaa came in.
This show is sponsored by BetterHelp. This month, I'm focusing on the people in my life who always have my back, like my incredible friends and chosen family. But it's just as important to turn that gratitude inward and recognize the effort we put into our own lives every day. Taking time for self-care isn't always easy, but making your mental health a priority is one of the best ways to show yourself some kindness. That's where BetterHelp can make a difference. Therapy offers a chance to slow down, reflect, and give yourself the care you deserve. I know reaching out can feel intimidating, like we're supposed to handle everything on our own, but you don't have to. Therapy isn't about having all the answers. It's about connecting with someone who can help you gain perspective and build tools to navigate life's ups and downs. BetterHelp makes it easy to find a therapist who fits your needs, wherever you are. It's okay to ask for help. In fact, choosing to focus on your mental well-being is one of the most important ways to show your self-appreciation. Let the gratitude flow with BetterHelp. Visit BetterHelp.com/LegacyTalk today to get 10% off your first month. That's BetterHelp, HELP.com/LegacyTalk.
Sanaa's audition was great. Had such good chemistry with Omar. There's just no denying it. She had never touched a ball in her life.
It's like that's a movie in itself.
It is.
Like the actress being perfect.
Like perfect.
In every way.
The one thing Sanaa had is she looked the part. Like she's 5'8". She looks like an athlete. I couldn't get her performance out of my head. She got a friend to help her with basketball.
I've heard the director's commentary. Okay.
So she was working on her own to try and prove that she could learn.
Which is also amazing. No guarantee of a role.
Yeah, she set the tone for everybody that I choose now. And then it came down to Reg. Reggie Rock. He just said to me, "What is your movie?" And I thought about it. I said, it's a love story set in the world of basketball.
That's right.
And then that made the decision, well, you got to go with the actor. But even though I made that decision, throughout the entire filming, I never knew I made the right decision. Sanaa and I are great friends now.
But during,
she felt that. And as a new director, I learned a lot about it's your job to make your actors feel safe enough to give you everything. And I was giving off a vibe of, I don't know. Did I make a mistake? Like her acting was dope. And we kind of pushed all the basketball towards the back. But I had this dread of what is going to happen when we start shooting the basketball. I made her cry. We were right before filming. I went to go watch her to see her progression. And I was like, fuck.
Not impressed.
Not impressed at all. And scared. I looked at her. I'm like, this basketball, you have to take it everywhere. You got to dribble wherever you go. I need you against the driveway, like doing passes, 100 a day. I need you to live and breathe this. I suddenly see her face start to crumple. And just as she turned, started crying. And in that moment, I was like, I am the worst director in the world. I really had to soul search at that moment. And I called her and apologized and did my best to say, I believe in you. And I was wrong in that moment. And I just, want what's best for the film and for you. And she accepted the apology. But there was that. There was a little friction. But she was never unprofessional. She was great. I learned so much from her and working with her and the role of a director and the importance of trust between you two. She has to trust me. And it took me a while to get to that point. And then me in the editing room, watching her performance every day and going, oh my God, she was doing all this. And there was a bit of a cloud that was not allowing me to see her greatness in the moment. But that edit room, after the first couple of days, I called her. You have given me an incredible film, and it's because of your performance. Absolutely learned a ton.
That's amazing. It's beautiful. Speaking of the editing room, can we go in there right quick?
Look at that transition.
I know. Terry Lynn Shropshire.
Terry.
We all say Terry. that is where you start painting, really, and you're doing it with someone else. How was that first experience working with Terry? And what is that relationship like? The director and their editor.
So I do have to start the story at the beginning, which is me hiring her.
Okay,
because, again, first-time director, I have to get an editor that has done this a ton of times and done it at a high level. I cannot express, I think more than any other role on a film, a good editor can protect you or make your footage better. A bad editor can take great footage and kill your film. So I thought that. So I was looking at people with huge resumes, and it's just reality of our industry. They were all white men. And But Terry had done Eve's Bayou, and Spike had suggested her to me. I loved Eve's Bayou. That film made me realize, oh, we can do films on an Oscar level. That was like the first. So I met with Terry. It was a great meeting, though it's funny because she says she couldn't tell
if you liked her or not.
Exactly.
Of course, classic.
I don't understand that. No.
Okay, yeah. I was your assistant for 2 years. I know how.
And you're like, does she like me?
Still trying to, juries just came back in.
I
We're
like
good.
it,
Yeah,
Lena.
we like, thanks, good.
After the meeting, she wrote me this 5-page letter. I don't even think, did we have email back then? So it was an actual handwritten letter.
Handwritten, cursive.
And it just expressed her love of the material, her connection to the material, but also had notes. And most people are afraid to give notes in a meeting.
Sure.
And it was that letter. Damn, somebody this passionate. I want to be in the trenches with this person. I want to be in the room with this person. Terry makes me better. It is such an incredible collaboration experienced by the fact that she's literally done every single thing I've done, except for one. She was not available on Disappearing Act.
Can we talk a little bit about music in your movies?
Absolutely.
Because it's so important. And I think I understand how important it is now that I'm making movies and making TV shows, how to pay for it, okay? Which can be very expensive.
Yes.
How to use it properly. And I think what you do is it's another paintbrush. And so can you just talk about how you go about figuring out what music you want to use, but more importantly, how you use it?
It started in film school, started when I saw The Graduate.
Oh, wow.
The use of music in The Graduate, Simon and Garfunkel.
Oh, my gosh.
It was an absolute part of the storytelling and the filmmaking. It always amplified the feelings or the emotions within scene, but it never took over. And that's that alchemy of the perfect song doesn't overwhelm a scene, it just amplifies or enhances it. Right. And so that's the thing, you never know if a song is gonna work until you put it there. Yeah, so it starts in the writing, then on set, and then in the edit room. And it is putting songs to scenes, and again, what do I feel? It's a beautiful thing when it clicks. And Maxwell was a great example of that, because when we first started, there was no way I could afford that song.
Right.
And we tried so many songs in that spot. Score.
It's perfect.
Nothing was evoking it. So I said, let's leave it in for Sundance. We played it at Sundance. That moment got such a huge reaction, and props to Mike DeLuca, who was running New Line at the time. Maxwell said we could use it, but we couldn't put it on the album.
Fair.
There was no reason for them to pay. I think it was $200,000 for it.
Wow.
And he's like, we're paying it. It was amazing that he did that.
A theme I see in your work is that obviously you've done original work, just just you sitting down, blank page, but you've also adapted a bunch of books and brought them to life on screen in a new way. Obviously, Disappearing Acts being one of those, Secret Life of Bees, and now another book you got covered as well. What is more difficult, to have to sit down and just like pour your heart out, or to sit down and interpret someone else's heart?
Wow. I would say it's harder. The blank page is harder. It's funny because when I came out of film school, I kept saying, I can't wait for the day when scripts get sent to me and I don't have to write. Because writing, as you know, is Very, very hard for me.
Writing is not fun.
It's not fun. It's tears and low self-esteem, and I eat a lot. It's just all bad. It's just all bad. Until I come out the other side, I start rewriting and I start to say, oh, this is actually good. And I get to feel the movie, but it's so hard. Adaptations, you have the structure and you have the characters there.
Yes.
So I still do the same things I do, which is, all my character work. What does the character want, need? What are the objectives? But it's a bit of a crutch. If I'm taking on an adaptation, that book needs to be my Bible and not a blueprint. I just feel it's disrespectful to take someone's things and just, I want the author to love this script more than anybody.
Yeah.
And I've been very, very fortunate. I've done 4 adaptations, and I've had incredible relationships with the authors.
Nice.
It's so meaningful to me.
Yeah, it's paramount.
Yeah.
Can you talk about having to, in your original work, make changes maybe didn't think you would make, but you kind of have to adapt in order for it to get across the finish line? Like, how is that for you when you have to veer away from what you originally dreamed about?
That's a really interesting thing, because when you're doing a spec, as I said, it's 100% your vision.
Right.
And so when you start getting notes, there's always a question. Does that feed into my vision? Does that go against my vision? And can I trust my vision? As you know, you read the early drafts of Beyond the Lights, and the ending was completely different. That was an incredible learning experience for me, inspired by someone in my family tried to kill themselves, and trying to come to terms with that and wanting to put something in the world that said choose life. So in writing the script, I was so clear that the ending was the right ending.
Right.
And the original ending was that you go through this whole, hopefully, beautiful love story. She achieves her goals. She's found her voice. She's got the courage to use her voice. And at the very end, cut back to the balcony where she tried to kill herself, and her hand slips out of Cass's hand and she falls to her death.
That, to me, I think is so fascinating. And obviously I got a chance to be there for a little bit of that experience. And so those memories came flooding back. But I went back further when we were still working on The Secret Life of Bees, and you were ideating. And I also want to talk to you about that, because you are a person that likes to do one thing at a time.
That's it.
You are a person that has a lot of ideas going through your head. Even though, yes, you were in the post process for Secret Life of Bees, you were also excited about and revved up about what would ultimately become Beyond the Lights. Was that new for you, or was that kind of how you normally work, where you're like, okay, I'm coming on these last laps on this one? Are you kind of always gearing up for the next thing, or do you not tend to do that?
So after Love and Basketball and then Disappearing Acts, there is a
break.
A big break.
On purpose, or because the industry was on some weird shit?
There were 2 different projects that I developed that
Just
couldn't get them made. It was a striking thing to me to go back to back on 2 projects and then suddenly crickets.
Yeah.
And it's also amazing where you could be developing something and you look up and it's 2 years later.
Yeah.
I am not able to do more than one thing at a time because I have to be all in. If I'm splitting my focus, then I'm not giving my best to that thing I'm working on at that moment.
I want to get into some themes that come up a lot in your work. What themes do you feel like you've explored enough that you don't feel like you need to keep tapping into? And what are some themes that you're going to explore, you think, in some of your upcoming work?
I feel like each film I've done, I've chosen because I needed to deal with something in my life.
Right.
And it was speaking to that. I do think that there is a thematic connection to my work, certainly with Black women, and amplifying our voices, showing complex characters, showing our humanity. I hope in my work that I'm also showing the connection and the necessity of Black men and Black women as a collective. I don't know what the next is. Each film is allowing me to continue to heal myself from a lot of shit. That is the theme that I come back to the most. That's it. It is, I'm fascinated by how affected we are by our childhoods and things that have happened, and are we ever able to truly break free from that? Because it's something that I deal with in my own life. I'm looking at that in a number of different ways, in a number of different genres.
For sure. I also think something that was coming up for me and looking at the work is these bonds between Black women. Is that something that was intentional, or was it something that was just sort of subconscious?
I think it was probably started subconsciously, and now has become a conscious thing of putting sisterhood up on screen. I think
Secret Life of Bees, Love and Basketball, The Woman King.
Like, so often Black women are not exalted. We don't get to see our humanity, the full breadth of our humanity, certainly in up on screen and on TV. So to be able to do that and also show our connectivity, I think it's really important. The more we see it, the more we can want to embody that, be inspired by that, aspire to be like that. But look what's happening in this moment with Kamala. I mean, it's beautiful, and it is. We are all going to come together and fight and protect this woman, this Black woman. I think the more we see it in practice up on screen, the more we can emulate that.
There was also another theme, too, that I was picking up on, in that your main characters sort of go through a fall. A big disappointment is the beginning of a new opportunity. And that's also something that we talked about, and even your mentorship of me, fall down 7 times, get up 8. Because I think about a story you told me when you went to interview to be a writer's apprentice at a different world.
Yeah.
You didn't get it on the first go. You may not always get it on the first try, but it's about what do you do? Do you go back again? So can you kind of speak to that a little bit about that beginning of your journey of being told no, then being told yes, and what you did with that yes?
Absolutely starts with being an athlete. I mean, that's the whole thing. You are going to lose at times, but you can either wallow and give up, or you can look at yourself and say, I need to work harder. I got outworked. So my senior year, I was one of the top sprinters in our area.
Stats.
And jumpers. So I was always the target. And I remember it was a big meet against our rival, and this girl during warm-up started following me around the track, literally right behind me in my ear. I'm gonna beat you. I got you. I'm gonna beat you. And at first it was like, that's funny. And then it started getting annoying because literally would not leave me alone. We get to the line and she beat me. I couldn't believe it. She got in my head. And I looked over and I saw her and her coach celebrating like it was Christmas. And I realized that that was their plan.
Wow.
So I marked our next meet on the calendar.
Come on.
And that was the championships. And it was that was my focus. Work and work and work, and have that loss in my gut motivated me and pushed me to work harder. We get to the championships when it truly mattered, and I beat her ass. So it's that's where it started. As you know, applying to UCLA Film School.
I do know.
And I got rejected.
Got rejected.
To this day, even saying it
What?
But it was one of the worst days of my life. How can I take no? This is my dream.
Right.
So let me tell them why they made a mistake. And I wrote a letter to the head of the film school, and Ruth Schwartz. And 2 days later, I got a call saying, I got your letter and you're in. To have that is my first overcome no in this industry. You use that as fuel and as memory so that different world. And that was my fault. I bombed that interview so bad. I was so bad
introvert
in
in you.
My God, I was so monosyllabic.
But shout out to Yvette Lee Bowser, though.
Yvette Lee Bowser got me in the room. Susan Fels Hill.
Shout out to Susan Fels Hill.
Love her. Debbie Allen.
Shout out to Debbie Allen. She's going to be sitting in that chair soon.
I fucked up. So how do I fix it? How do I get back? Because this is my dream. So I think part of it is also, if you're passionate about what you do in this industry, if you're passionate, it gets you up off the floor. It fuels your fight.
How do you think the business has changed for the better since you've been in it? And then how do you think it's changed in a way that hasn't been so great, in your opinion?
I think it's changed for the better in that there is more diversity of content. As you know, the industry gets attracted to one thing. Like if there's success on one thing, then there's just repetitiveness in terms of what gets greenlit. Also, us in different genres, still the numbers are absolutely abysmal. Black female directors, 1.2% over the last 10 years. It's insane.
And one hasn't been nominated for Best Director at all.
Never, ever. Never been nominated.
And we're coming up on 100 years.
95. Well, it's 96 years now.
Okay, we're coming up on 100.
It's so important to me that we reach back and, one, hold that door open and pull folk through.
You, Mara, and Felicia showed me, the way to come together and to reach back. And one of those people is Ramla Mohammed, who now has her own show.
It's amazing.
Yeah, Reasonable Doubt on Hulu.
But there is another element of that, and it's something that you and I talk about, and it's 1,000% the reason why our relationship went from,
boss and assistant.
Yeah, to colleague, to friend, to family, is your work ethic. This industry is exponentially harder for us. There is no denying that. So you're going in knowing that. And you have to go in knowing that you have to outwork everybody. Yeah. And not everybody is built for that. The first time that you showed me your script, as I said, super scary for me because, is this going to end our friendship?
Super scary for you.
If it sucks.
How do you think I feel? Giving a woman who really love basketball on her first go a script. I also waited a year. I worked for you for a year.
You did. But it was so clear your talent. But it wasn't just that. I gave you notes, and literally it was like a day or two later, you came back with a new script. So few people do that. So few people shut themselves off. This is perfect the way it is. I just wanted you to tell me how great it was. I was excited to work with you because of your work ethic, because you love what you do, and you love it so much and respect it so much that you're going to put in the work. Not everybody's like that. They want the easy. And this industry, I promise you, will never be easy for us.
It won't. We can't wait for it to be that either.
No.
I remember, too, coming to your house for the interview, the job interview.
So funny.
Oh, my gosh. Shout out to Mara Brockakil, who made this happen. You got to give her all the love.
Always.
Because I worked at Girlfriends. And what's so crazy is that I was not working directly for her. I was an assistant to her showrunners, Regina Hicks, Mark Brown, Dela Duke. And so when you called her looking for an assistant, I got the call to come to the house. Such an honor to walk in there because I was a fan of yours as well as Reggie's, being in this amazing home that I knew you guys built from your brains. And so it was just such a joy to be in there. And I was trying to act cool.
The fact that I was shy in our meeting when the dynamic should have been totally different.
You were more nervous than me.
Yeah, I think I probably was. An assistant is such a personal thing.
Gosh.
You are embedded in my life.
Yeah.
And I had my boys were
I got to meet
young.
your boys that day too, Cassius and Toussaint. I realized, you're a mom. You're a wife.
But also, I thought you were shy, which is so funny because you really didn't talk that much.
No.
And again, it's how did that happen? How did you?
I was just trying to
you took a beta blocker or something.
I wish I had a beta blocker at the time. Didn't even know what that was.
You, as my assistant, were representing me.
Oh yeah.
And people loved you, and I found out quickly that you weren't shy.
No.
And so you were my voice in places that I'm an introvert or shy, which was kind of an amazing thing. But I trusted you with that as well. And also your reach. You already knew everybody. I remember when I had seen Awkward Black Girl, I was like, this is so funny. I would love to meet this woman. And you were like, oh, okay. That was crazy.
Yeah, well, I was excited that you said that because this is going to mean the world to her. And I remember reaching out to her and telling her, and she was like, what? Oh, snap. Okay, last question. What is your definition of a really good movie?
One that moves me and makes me feel, even after I've left the theater, that it transcends those 2 hours and takes me emotionally to places that I never thought I would go. An interesting one is 12 Years a Slave. I've only seen it that one time.
Oof.
I sat in that theater after the credits for a good 20 minutes, couldn't move. And then it stayed with me for weeks.
I think about it sometimes.
Like, I can enjoy a movie.
Yeah,
I
sure.
could say, oh, yeah, that was cool. But a truly great movie is the movie that gets into you, leaves you with something. That's an amazing thing.
You've done that. You made a few of those. So thank you.
Thank you, Lena.
Thanks, G. Thank you for this. Thank you for this conversation. Thank you for being so open, so real. No, this is just such a full circle moment too for me. Like, to sat in front of you, to interview, to be your assistant, but to have like grown with you, to have been mentored by you, to have the honor of watching you work and navigate so many things I do now. You represent greatness. And so I think I'm always trying to chase that. And I think, but at the same time, I think you also taught me to follow my own voice too. Right. I think that was such a big thing. I remember when you read Queen and Slim for the first time and the conversation we had after, I think it was really you kind of letting the kid's sister go, okay, all right, that's how you want to do it? Go ahead. Yeah. All right. That meant something to me too, that you didn't want me to be just like you, but you really wanted me to be myself. And that's the greatest gift I think a mentor can give a mentee. So
that's
thank
amazing.
You.
Well, and as you know, anytime you call, I'm coming. It's been a beautiful thing to see how you've moved through this industry, and like you are the industry. And from sitting on our couch across from each other to being a person who people aspire to be, who look up to, but also who is creating such a unique space in this industry, and then opening up that space for others to come join, like in such an intentional way. Like, that's incredibly dope, and proud of you, and continue to be proud of you.
Love you.
Love you too, homie.
Appreciate you.
Legacy, oh legacy.